you're taking your first steps towards giving 23andMe customers access to telehealth to help them understand what all of this data you're giving back to them actually means. How exactly does it work?
Well, I think one of the most interesting things I've learned over the last 16 years is that everyone sees a world where you're going to get your genetic information and it's going to be part of your everyday primary care experience. But the reality is most physicians are not trained. It's not accessible. It's not part of the medical system. And we have over 12 million customers. We've learned over time that our customers are getting this information and they take it to their primary care physicians and they largely don't know what to do with that information. And so there's this opportunity for 23andMe to really solve that problem and actually become that consult to other primary care physicians or other specialists by really providing and delivering genomic medicine and how our customers and how everyone else out there can learn about their DNA and say, I'm going to take proactive preventative steps and have, whether that changes some of the guidelines like getting a colonoscopy or whether or not that's going to actually influence how they're wearing sunglasses or how they are eating and exercising.
How significant will telehealth be to 23andMe's future business? Like, do you see this being a significant driver of the vision and revenue?
I think that preventative care is absolutely something people do every day. Your health is a sum of what your actions are every single day. And I think that people get genetic information, you get any kind of health information, and you have to spread it out throughout your life. You have to continuously implement it. And so what I find, and part of the 23andMe Plus product that we launched about roughly over a year ago, was about additional content. And we've always said the next step for us is actually saying there's additional services that are part of that. Is that going to be telemedicine? Is it going to be the ability to chat with a physician? Is it going to be access to pharmacy and integration with your genetic data with pharmacy? Or is it potentially going to be access to blood tests that are relevant because of your genetic information? So I think that this infrastructure is a really core part of the future experience where customers are going to have 23andMe part of their entire lifetime of healthcare.
Now, you have released some eye-opening research about COVID-19. You found that the loss of the sense of taste and smell was tied to genes. That if you had type O blood, for example, you were less likely to test positive. Are you still looking into COVID-19? Are we going to see 23andMe make more COVID-related discoveries?
We are, and it's something I have been pushing more and more. And just personally, I hear of all kinds of stories on long COVID. So a lot of our emphasis right now has been on long COVID. We have over 1.5 million people who have taken our COVID survey. Over 16,000 of them were hospitalized and had serious cases, large numbers of people who have long COVID. So we're actively continuing to look at that data and we'll continue to publish on it. It's something that's obviously it's very top of mind. And I think understanding the genetics behind why we all have such variable responses is going to be really important for us in managing it going forward.
What's the progress on your drug discovery business and the likelihood that 23andMe will help us, get closer to a cure for cancer?
Well, I think people don't always realize drug discovery is incredibly hard. Most programs fail. There's over 90% failure in drug discovery. And so one of the only things that has ever been shown to increase the likelihood of success is starting with a human genetic foundation. So if you have a human genetic foundation to your drug discovery program, you're more than twice as likely to be successful at actually getting onto the market. So what's so unusual about 23andMe is that we have this incredible community of, data set of information where we can make all kinds of discoveries on all different disease areas. And what the therapeutics team is, they go through all of this data, they sort of whittle it down into where are we most likely to be successful, where is there an unmet need, and then we're actually working on that with in partnership with GSK on getting these programs actually out to everybody.
So is the hope that 23andMe is going to be a big pharma company someday? What's a fair comparison?
I love this, Emily. Like, one of the biggest challenges is people have a hard time putting us in a box because we're not telemedicine, we're not just a diagnostics, and we're not just a pharma. Like, we have this comprehensive, holistic system where we say 23andMe is about engaging individuals in their health. And at the same time, those individuals always have the ability to opt into research. Over 80% of our customers opt into research. And with that, we're making discoveries. And those discoveries either can go back to our customers, and that's where Lemonaid and the acquisition of our telehealth platform and the ability to engage customers, they will benefit in that way. Or some of those insights are going to go to our therapeutic side, and we are going to continue to make discoveries that hopefully one day are going to go back to our customers. And we're going to have potentially a new way of even approaching how we get those therapeutics out to our customers.
Now, of course, 23andMe recently went public via SPAC, and I'm curious what the transition from being a private company to be a public company has been like for you. You know, we've seen tech stocks in general and equities in general really take a leg down in this macro environment, you know, and 23andMe has as well. You know, what's your reaction to that, and what's been your experience dealing with public market investors?
I love, I'm really happy that we went through the process. We are public now. We have the ability to, to do more acquisitions, the ability to actually access markets. Like all of this was, was the right time and the right place for us to go public. And what I've been focused on now is really just the long-term mission of the company. The long-term vision of this company is that every single person in the world is going to have genetics that's part of their care. Like it's almost one of those things that every researcher, every healthcare professional talks about. It's inevitable and it's obvious. Genetics is going to become a critical part of healthcare in the future. And so 23andMe is absolutely that leading platform that is going to drive that and make that happen. So I have not been focused on the day-to-day of the stock market. Markets are obviously quite dynamic right now, but what I'm focused on is that long-term future where every single person is going to have genetics as a critical part of their care.